Hey guys, welcome to Talking Strongman. We are joined once again by Don Idrees, the man behind WUS, the man behind the boxing between Eddie and Thor. You've got a hat for many, many different things. Must have been a crazy couple of weeks for you, my friend.
Well, it feels like one really long day. It started somewhere around July 21st, July 22nd, when I was on a Zoom call. I'll never forget this. And Eddie starts calling me, and I keep hanging up, but he calls again. Eddie never does that. And so I had to, in a show of unprofessionalism, take a second from the meeting. And I'm like, hold on, guys. I'm like, hey, I'll call you back. He's like, we have a problem. Call back. I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. So I call him back. He's like, I tore my biceps. And my first reaction, knee-jerk reaction, was, doing what? And he's like, sparring. I'm like, okay. He's like, I'm going to the hospital now, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay, I need a minute. I need a minute to process this. I'll call you back. Just go get yourself taken care of. And that was like 3 weeks ago. It's just been one plot twist, one punch in the face after the other. And that, because I have a call sheet of about 24 to 25 people, and like not people, like companies and entities.
Yeah.
Anything changes, they must be informed. There's contractual obligations or whatever. So I have to break that news to everybody. Then call them again a couple of days later saying we're announcing now and we have a plan B. The plan B being we're still moving ahead with the fight with a replacement. It'll be a much smaller fight, but everything is secure. We're going to move this to March, blah, blah, blah. So this is more of you get 1.5 event instead of one with what you've committed.
Yeah.
We're just getting over that hitch when we got into the whole getting the athletes entry visas into the US, which suddenly was proving to be a nightmare because July 15, Angela Merkel visited Biden. She said, hey, buddy, you need to open up travel between Europe and America. He gave the people hope. July 25th, he's like, nah, we're going to keep it closed.
Yeah.
Concerns over Delta variant. So suddenly, all the processes of getting you guys over were suddenly impossible. Half the athletes are flying over from Europe. So then what we did, I'm like, Mark, what we need to do is we need to bring everybody to Dubai for 14 days because you can get into the US as long as you've been outside of the restricted areas for 14 days or more. Like, let's do a training camp. It's going to cost an arm and a leg, but let's just figure out how to do this. We were in the middle of doing that. Our immigration lawyer sent me a news clip via email, the one who was helping us with the visas.
Okay.
And it said, Jacksonville epicenter for COVID-19 cases, hospitalization numbers. This, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? How much, ironically, us dumb foreigners didn't really know where Jacksonville was until recently. And now what are the odds of that becoming the problematic area? And then Florida went bananas and the case numbers kept going up and up and up and up. Suddenly, I got a call from our board. They're like, cancel the event. I'm like, wow. They're like, look at what's happening. You can't put people at risk. And our team is supposed to fly out next week. I'm like, just give me a minute. They're like, no, you need to watch out for everybody's safety. Just cancel it. This is becoming, I'm like, right, no, fuck you, I'm not canceling it, right? Yeah. Then I called Mark, I'm like, are you with me on this one? He's like, yeah, I'm with you on this one. And we just looked at the assessment. People suddenly looked at the ticket sales. They had stalled. Then people had started applying for refunds. And obviously the people in Florida are telling us, oh, this is just politics and this. I'm like, okay, guys, I'm sure it is politics. But we need to make a decision because we're losing money every day.
Yeah.
And I can't sit around and hope for things to get better. Secondly, let's look at the trends. The real virus is human panic. If people are panicking, it doesn't matter whether Florida is still open or your governor is saying don't wear masks. We cannot put our athletes at risk because all you need is one guy to get sick.
Sure.
And if this thing is as contagious as it is, it does look, conspiracy not, it doesn't matter. What matters is, why would we fly in 60 to 100 foreigners into a place where our people on the ground who are helping us with hospitals are saying it's real. ICUs are over flooded.
Yeah.
Maybe the media is playing it up a little bit, but people are getting sick. That's just a dumb move. And I'm like, okay, now we literally have two choices. We just say, you know what, pull the plug on this whole thing, or adapt and do it somewhere where we know we can. We're like, you know what, we'll take the hatred. We're used to hateful comments. Fuck it, offer everybody a refund, cut all ties, cut our losses today, move everything to Dubai. Then another 24 call explanation, and then this and then that. And surprisingly, a lot of people were relieved. The Americans, our American partners, they understood. Of course, there will be some financial losses because there was a lot of non-refundable stuff paid. But, you know, now it's here. Now we have to pull off a miracle within the next 4 weeks.
I really feel for all promoters these days in the current climate that we're in. Putting events on has just become so much more stressful with so many more things to think about. I mean, when you rang me and you were talking about getting all the athletes, and bear in mind, the WUS contest is running a male and female category. So we're not talking just a few guys. We're talking a lot of people, you know, 20 athletes plus extras, you know. You end up looking at potentially 80 to 100 people. And you were talking about trying to get people to come to Dubai for 14 days, then to fly to the States. It's just impossible for so many people to do that.
And yet they were willing. And yet they were willing. The girls, bless them, they all went and got time off work and got their okay, because it's just such a big opportunity for them. They were so chuffed to be in it.
Oh,
and I think it took them a while to realize. They're like, wait a minute, what are you guys? Mark is like, you do realize we're covering flights, food.
I think a lot of them didn't realize that at first.
They didn't realize that. When they realized that, suddenly, oh, okay, cool. I can get the time off work, because I wasn't aware of how bad the situation is in the strong woman world. They have to pay for their own travel and stuff.
Everything.
So, but like, bless them, they were still all on board. They're like, because what this is going to do to the sport is so great that I'll figure out a way to speak to my work or figure out the time off. Because it's 14 plus a week. That's 3 weeks away from home and work. It's not easy for everybody to do.
No, I mean, I'd say the majority of the pro guys now, I'd probably say about 70% are full-time strongmen, but there's still a percentage that still work full-time as well of the pros. So I know, you know, I was talking to Ivers, he still works full-time, and, you know, he can't afford to have, you know,
Irvin,
3 weeks.
Rauno, they all work. Everybody works.
There's, you know, a lot of them.
Thor has a job.
Yeah.
Everybody. All of them.
So it's so difficult to commit that kind of time. So it's much better now that I know for you guys, at least being in Dubai, you have a lot more control over everything.
Government support. We have our own team. We own our own filming company. We own our own gyms. When you guys get here, you'll see. So we've got Strong Gym and the new mixed martial arts combat gym. It's 2 warehouses, 5 meters across each other. So all the fight camp is going to go here for training and filming content. The strong men, strong women are going to go here. And it's a one-way dead-end alley, one way in, one way out. So it's great, because it's that last 8 days that matter in terms of pay-per-view for the fight, and in terms of stuff that we can do with the athletes. We've never done interviews with the females. A lot of the athletes, like, we always are running around trying to get good content. And recently it's been in another country where we don't have our own team, where it's not financially viable to fly in 10 people with our own camera.
So you getting the athletes in early. You want to do a lot of promotion with them to build up towards it.
Yeah, about 8 to 10 days. Whoever. I mean, it's not obligatory, but we'd like everybody to start thinking about getting there by the 8th of September.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be staggered. So some people are happy to come on the 8th. Some people will come on the 10th. Some people come on the 12th. All the way through until the show, 17th, and then they'll stay the extra day, watch the fight if they want. And by the 19th, 20th, everybody, it's just 10 days away from home.
Yeah.
But on average, it's about 8 days for everybody.
Cool.
And also, it's okay. We're not allowed like Florida capacity spectators, but it's still, they've changed the rules recently that, okay, whatever the capacity of the venue is, you can fill it up to 60%.
Okay.
And you know, they're laxing on the, you don't have to be vaccinated. Like it's under control enough for us to be able to do something. It's just upsetting that it is September and not October. We can't do it outdoors. It has to be indoors because it's still.
I was going to say, how hot is it right now?
Right now it's 46.
Oh my God. I'm going to be melting.
Yesterday.
I might have to shave the beard.
Excuse me. So yeah, so that's what happened. And we had to very quickly think on our feet. Obviously, like I said, same call sheet again. And there comes a point where you realize who truly believes in you and who says, you know what, this is becoming a complete shit show. Mm-hmm. The problem with, I mean, this is like an M. Night Shyamalan movie at this point. Oh, it was Vegas, then it became Jacksonville, then Eddie tore a bicep, then we're supposed to have this as an opponent, and now it's in Dubai. They're like, well, you know what? We won't give you a penny until we actually see proof of execution, which is fair enough.
Yeah.
Absolutely fair. But, you know, we got to eat it. But it's still our ethos of doing things. We don't like giving up. I'd rather us do a show, do what we said, deliver it to the best of our abilities, give the fans what they want, give the athletes what they want, because they've been prepping for it or promised it. They shouldn't have to be robbed of this because of whatever global bullshit is going on or whatever hitches we're having to deal with, you know? Like, I don't know, let's just get it done. And, you know, as things get better, we'll hopefully do better shows. But now it's here, it's home, it's under our control. And hopefully we'll be able to deliver a couple of nice shows. Oh, and by the way, now that it's here, those 2 Iranian boys can fly over.
I was going to ask you about not just the Iranian boys. I was going to ask you about Payman. I know he's not on your roster for this year, but with the way things have been, you know, didn't get the chance to come over and do the Deadlift World Championships. Could you make an exception for someone like that?
That is a Mark Boyd question.
Okay.
But let me tell you a funny story. Shit, I'm not even allowed to say this. We wanted to help Payman. So we had cooked up a plan. I suppose it's okay to say this right now. It's all done and dusted. We had cooked up a plan because we're like, you know what? The guy's been training so hard. He can't get a visa to the US. Why don't we, because look, the sad reality is Iranians still have to go through a security clearance check or whatever. So we called our people in immigration. We're like, look, need an emergency visa. Can we get them over to Dubai on Saturday at the same time that Giants Live is happening? And we'll get him to at least have the same attempts in direct coordination with the jumps of the athletes. Like, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, so we'd pay for the official Giants Live stream. He's watching that, and he's going with the athletes to giving the illusion of a competition. We knew he was never going to hit the 505, right? But if you've trained for it, like, right, okay, we'll pay for it. We'll support you. We'll put that stuff on pay-per-view, $199 or whatever, and all the proceeds can go to him. Just as it sucks for an athlete to be robbed of any competition purely because of politics or something. So we tried that. We got his visa. We got his visa. The problem is that they had already applied for the UK visa and their passports didn't come back on time. So until 4 p.m. Saturday, right? That was the only flight leaving to Dubai. And they're like, passports, and I'm like, Mark, we just can't do this. Don't announce it. Let's just cut the cord. It was a good thought. Maybe we can look at bringing him into WUS.
I think it would be better to bring him. I think it would be better to give him the chance to compete in a show, a full show, rather than do something like that. I mean, you know, it's a terrible situation for an athlete such as Payman because he wants the opportunity to prove what he can do. I think if you can get him to Dubai, I think the majority of fans would be happy for him to compete because, he has been screwed over with, opportunity he was meant to have. So I don't think anyone would be upset if he got an invite. I personally wouldn't. I'd love to see him, because the thing is, and this is why I didn't want you guys to do that with payment. When we did the
intentions, though, it's good.
Yeah, I understand the intentions, but in terms of the position we're in now, when we did the feats of strength, that was all you could do. There was no other option for athletes to earn some money, to break records, and as athletes, they got to keep training. They can't just stop training, otherwise.
In this scenario, Payment didn't really have another option.
No. But what I'm saying is, if you give him the opportunity to come to Dubai and compete in a full show against all these great athletes, that's a better option than getting him to go head to head on a different bar, in different kind of, what's the word? Conditions, etc. It's still not the same as being everyone in the one arena or one kind of place. Right. So that's why I personally didn't like it. But I think given the opportunity to come to Dubai, no one's going to, question that. And I'm sure he will be over the moon to get that opportunity and to see those three Iranians against each other. I mean, you've allowing the other two to compete in the WUS. We've really seen some impressive performances by them. Let's see who the best Iranian is, because I don't think they all compete against each other nationally.
No. Having said that, to your point, but also the other side of that coin is it would have to kind of be a 2022 scenario, because everybody, there's a lot of other athletes who have been told you're qualified, but for 2022, it would sort of be unfair on the rest of the athletes if we say, hey, we're just going to invite Payman in the 2021 circuit. I mean, it's not like we're not going to have a show in 2022. We're looking at March already. So, but yeah, I mean, we'll invite him over in October. He can do the Emirates Strength Qualifier, which is probably going to be easy for him. And there you go. He's in with March, and probably Rahman and Mohammed Izzatpour are going to be there as well. And those, I mean, come on.
There's three great athletes.
Top 8 in Bahrain they placed.
I'd love to see the three of them going head to head.
That'd be interesting. That'll be most definitely interesting. So I don't know if I've rambled on long enough, but that's pretty much the gist of what's been happening in the last 20 odd days.
Well, we need to talk about this boxing now. We haven't really got into that.
Did you like that little plot twist last night, Laurence?
I straight away on the phone to Neil Pickup, chatting to him. I was watching Devon's video, and it cracks me up because Devon's such a great character. And he sat there, he's like, I've never boxed. My arm doesn't straighten. He's 46 years old, and he wants to step into the ring and fight a 6'9", 32-year-old man that's in his prime, that's been boxing. I mean, he's been training for boxing for over a year now, and Devon has 5 weeks to prepare.
But that's the story. That's the story for Devon. It's not about the fight itself anymore. Okay, so let me just clarify things to the fans, right? Obviously, the memes were flying all over the internet of who the mountain.
Well, there's talk of fighting Pudzianowski, or
there was talk of fighting Pudzianowski, and Pudzianowski was part of the 3 to 4 potential opponent shortlist. We were very, very close to making a deal with Mariusz, but we just couldn't agree terms, and it just became a scenario where I was not comfortable with it from the beginning, from a promoter's perspective. Because, and I think I was mentioning this to Phil Blackman from Barbend last night via email. Like, look, guys, it's a crossover sport, various sports having a trial via boxing. Okay? So if we have an opportunity, why would we keep the same? This is not and never was a strongman fight. Unless your name is Eddie Hall and the other guy's name is Hafthor Bjornsson, 2 strongmen in a ring does not make sense.
Yeah.
Okay, because that's not selling because it's strongman. That's selling because there's a narrative, there's hatred, there's bad blood. They're both really big personalities. They're both really great athletes. They've both won World Strongest. So replacing Eddie as a placeholder, because the Eddie and Thor fight is still going to happen, no matter what. Yeah, March, whenever Eddie's ready to go. Replacing him with another strongman, legendary though he may be, he's got 12 years combat experience. it's a mismatch.
Yeah.
Secondly, we're not expanding the fan base for viewership. We're still sticking to the same sport.
Sure.
So we may as well just have any other strongman. The viewership numbers aren't going to go up because all the strongman fans who are actually going to watch the boxing are going to watch it because of Thor, no matter who he fights. Let's get that out of the way. Okay? The hatred to Eddie and Thor, that would have brought in the additional views.
Yeah, I think in terms of strongman, only Eddie and Thor make sense.
Yeah, it's like we're not out on a mission to start. This is now called strongman boxing. That was never the case.
Yeah.
Yes, it would have been a great fight. It would have been a tough fight, but was it really adding value? I don't know. But what I do know is that we have past experience with the arm wrestling community. We know that they pay to watch. We know that they're Devon fans. And I know for a fact from the moment we announced Eddie's injury, the first person who personally messaged me was Devon, saying, I'm in, say the word. And I'm like,
Devon is a crazy man, and I think he's a very...
The reason I went for it, because if it's one guy, the whole selling point now is this is a challenge. Can he do it? What is this man capable of? You saw what he did for the last arm wrestling match he had. You think he put on like 60 pounds in like a month, right? And came in the most monstrous he's ever been. If it's one guy who I know I can rely on that is able to do this in 5 weeks, it's Devon. And people discard him like, oh, he can't extend his arm. He can't this. Like, you guys don't know Devon. Devon hardly ever relies on anything except the strongest tool he have, which is... I'm kind of
excited to see the smack talk that comes out of him.
Well, see, this is what I love about this is it's not going to be an Eddie and Thor
hatred
smack talk. It's going to be like a Michael Todd versus Devon's.
Devon is
friendly. He's going to make cartoons. He's going to make memes. His first post was with Lennox Lewis. So they're buddies, actually, apparently. I did not know this. So he's going to go do a few sessions with him. We're bringing him out to Dubai 3 weeks early so we can have all the doctors and everything, because his safety really does matter. We don't want him to get hurt.
Sure.
And, if you've been doing this for 20 odd years.
Well, that's the thing. It's a very specific way of training for arm wrestling.
Yeah. So
strongman
box a specific way as well.
Yeah, I mean,
a lot of hooks.
Well, let's be honest. He's not going to learn how to box in 5 weeks. He's just going to try and come up with some kind of tactics that will work against, Hafthor. But
he downplays his combat experience. Let me tell you that.
I know a lot of the history of Devon. Exactly. That man is tapped, and mentally, I don't think there's anyone stronger. But it's still a risk at 46-year-old jumping in the the ring against a man as big as Thor. It only takes one punch to to put someone in trouble. It's a very different thing, arm wrestling someone and that type of combat to being in the ring. But I get it from Devon's point of view. This is good for him. It's good for his brand. His fans are so loyal. I think plenty of them are going to jump on and pay to watch this. What I don't get from this is Thor's build up towards Eddie, because this has always been about Thor versus Eddie. Eddie's not even having any sparring, exhibition matches. He is all about, I want to take Thor's head off.
What does Thor get out of it? Is that the question?
Yeah. What does Thor get from this? Because if Thor doesn't look convincingly good against a man that's boxing for 5 weeks, Eddie's going to be sat there laughing his head off.
Well, is that relevant at this point? Is that relevant? Because technically, so we've got this.
It's relevant. It's relevant from the build up towards Thor versus Eddie. That's what I'm saying. In terms of a one-off fight, I get it. The arm wrestling fans are going to pay for this. They're going to want to see Devon. He's entertaining. He brings so much passion. But what I don't get is then where does Thor go from this? If Thor doesn't look convincingly good,
it's yet more ring experience, which is originally why we were doing all these exhibition fights. That's what he wanted, ring experience. 2 exhibition fights against boxers. Thor knows how a boxer moves. He's never fought a non-boxer. there's value in that. Eddie's not a boxer. So suddenly he's up against this guy who's not a boxer, which, by the way, is way harder than fighting a boxer, a pro boxer versus a novice.
Yeah, you don't know where punches are going to come from.
You just don't know, because you know how a pro moves. You don't know how a guy who doesn't know what the fuck is doing. He might flail, he might do. It's unpredictability.
Sure.
So it's time for Thor to fight a non-boxer. Somebody who's not even remotely fight. That's a surprise element. I think that'll teach him a lot. And we are planning another exhibition fight pre Eddie. And that's hopefully going to be against Eddie's doppelganger, Alex Simon, when he heals. I don't know, what is it with Thor and people tearing their bicep, right? I don't know if it's the curse of the bicep. Both Alex Simon and Eddie, same injury. And Alex Simon, we got in touch and he's like, look, as long as it's after November, I'm ready to go. And that is the ultimate pre-Eddie fight.
Okay.
So there is more in the pipeline, but the whole Devon thing, people are not looking at it from our perspective. From a
I totally get it from your perspective. It's more from.
Does that make sense now? What Thor gets out of it?
Yeah, it's one of those things. We're gonna look. I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna enjoy it. I'm a big Devon fan. I'm a big Thor fan. I find Devon more entertaining. And just watching him arm wrestling is always good fun because of the smack talk that he gives people, because of the psychology. He gets inside people's heads, and he could well get inside Thor's head. It's that side of things, probably good preparation for someone like Eddie, because Eddie does the same kind of thing.
Does the same thing. Eddie will find your weakness. He'll find the point, the pressure point, and he'll just
push and push and push. Yeah.
And the more you tell him, Eddie, don't do this, he'll be like, all right, that's exactly what I'm doing. So all in all, the fact that it's not a boxer, I think has value, because Eddie is not a pro boxer. So right now, Thor kind of, even one round in the ring with a pro boxer will teach you a lot about a pro boxer. He's had two of them. Yes, both of them were exhibitions. Both of them were way above his level in terms of skill. So he kind of knows, okay, I'm to expect this and this and this from a boxer. He has no clue what Devon's going to do.
Very quickly, what kind of rounds are we looking at? Is it 3 rounds?
6 rounds, 6 rounds of 3 minutes. We're going to stick to that format. 12-ounce gloves, no head guards. We're still going to try to sit them both down when Devon gets here and say, okay, let's finalize a set of rules. Because what we don't want is to say 8 rounds, and then, because Thor's conditioning right now is ridiculously good.
Yeah.
He's sparring 8-9 rounds, and
he's looking fantastic. I mean, he's training for boxing completely.
Exactly. He's training to be a boxer.
Yeah.
Devon, I don't know, man. It's going to be some kind of surprise, because just his grit and his unpredictability. He's going to figure out something. Do you remember last time, or was it the time before, we were having a talk about how winning a strongman show is not necessarily always about being the strongest. It's also about being the smartest.
Yeah.
That's, in this scenario, that's what Devon's going to try to do, because there's no way he can get to that level of training in 5 weeks. But what he can do is figure out how to, you know what I mean? How to get one up, how to win where the weakness is, how to avoid getting hit. He's fit because he's great at figuring that out. So do we know what's going to happen? No. Do we think it's a good idea? I think it's the best possible idea, because we still need to execute the Eddie and Thor fight. I mean, this is not an Eddie replacement. But this is a whole other fight.
Do you think if Devon looks like the better fighter, do you think that has an impact on the build-up then towards Eddie and Thor?
See, to a certain degree, yes, from a masses perspective, but I think that the people who want to watch Eddie and Thor in a ring will always be the same people. Those are the Thor fans and the Eddie fans. If you put Thor and Eddie fans in a room, they'll end up fighting each other. That's just how it is. It's just due to the level of technology that we have, that everybody decides to do it from behind the safety of a keyboard. But Eddie and Thor just bring out this thing in people.
It's very split between the two of them, isn't it? There's definitely the Thor camp, the Eddie camp. Whereas this fight, I mean, Devon is pretty universally loved. There's not many people that don't like him.
Think about Thor, what he has to go through. Thor will put up a picture of him and his baby. And one of the comments will be like, Eddie's going to knock you out for no reason. It's some random shit. Yeah. Yeah, do what you want, but Eddie's going to fuck you up. I'm like, Jesus Christ. I really hope he doesn't read those comments, because at some point it becomes comical. You're like, this has nothing to do with it. People are still arguing about the deadlift.
Yeah.
People are still saying, well, if you hadn't done this in 2017, this would have fucking a home gym hero. Hey, fucking doesn't matter. Eddie's been fighting since he was a kid. He grew up in Stoke-on-Stench or whatever it's called. Fucking hell, man. And I'm like, but that's buzz. That's what gets engagement. That's why it's in the top. That's why it has its own Wikipedia page, Eddie versus Thor. I shit you not. WUS got a Wikipedia page 2 years later. Right? Eddie versus Thor has its own Wikipedia page. It's
crazy.
Yeah.
All right, just before I let you go, told our subscribers that you were coming on, and we asked them to put some questions to you. So you ready for this? Some of this, to be honest, we've gone through a few things already. So will Thor fight Eddie again after this, and before Eddie? You've already said he's going to have an exhibition match again before Eddie, potentially.
Not confirmed, but that's the plan. So Eddie's Eddie Thor. We're looking at March, April. So that's 6 months from now. Yeah, after. Well, depending on how the fight goes with Devon, potentially there's another one 2 months after.
Okay, cool. What were the negotiations like with Marius?
I have never spoken to Marius.
Fair enough.
But, well, I mean, I don't think maybe he understands, but I'm not sure if he speaks English or not.
He does. He speaks English better than he makes out. But
okay.
Yeah.
I spoke with his manager. I spoke with a friend of theirs who's in the US who handles their international affairs. And I spoke with, who's actually a very dear friend, and previously we'd done some work together, the owner of KSW MMA, Martin Lewandowski, great guy. So KSW is this Polish MMA promotion. It's pretty much like top 3 MMA promotions in the world. And it's crazy. They fill up arenas. They do a great show. But it's mostly the this side of the world fighters. So it's a little bit more brutal, right? And,
I've seen some of their events.
So Marius fights for KSW. So even to start the conversation, I had to
go through them.
And say, would you give him an exception?
Yeah.
They were just back and forth, and like it was just, we have certain like terms and conditions. Marius, the way he works, he has certain terms and conditions. Look, everything was going great, as any negotiation. Everything is going great until suddenly it's not. And then it just all goes to shit. But there's no bad blood, there's no animosity. And we did say that we want to do something with Marius, but in the future, maybe now is not the right time.
Okay, fair enough.
So fans, if they're looking for Marius to fight somewhere, via us or with us or on some kind of a card like this, it is going to happen, but
not yet.
Potentially after Eddie and Thor, maybe
okay.
Fights Marius, who knows?
Yeah. Okay. Were there any other potential opponents for
loads? Well, potentially that we took seriously, or how many people applied?
Well, people that you took seriously.
People that we took seriously were like, okay, this could be a good fight. Or maybe 12.
Wow.
And that list shortened down to maybe 4 or 5 when they realized, oh, you're not just dishing out millions of dollars, right? So the first thing you say is, hey guys, here's how.
Oh yeah. Hey, if I thought you were going to pay me $1 million, I'd fight anyone. So
I'd fight a bear I'd fight a bear for 50 grand.
Just a small one, yeah.
Yeah, like a little cub. Is it a cub or a pup? Bears have cubs? Yeah. Cubs or pups? It's cub, isn't it?
Cubs, I think. Yeah.
Look, whatever. Baby bear.
Testing our animal knowledge now.
Strange people.
I bet you get some weird requests.
The weird request. There was well, not directly. Mr. Robert Obers didn't do us the courtesy of actually directly talking to us, but he just posted some stuff that he wants to do it. We had a couple of MMA guys. We had reached out to one of the YouTubers, and the answer came back like, I don't think that's a good idea for me. We had a couple of African fighters and boxers just throw their hat in the face. Like, it was, I mean, we know them. They fight with, like, say, I want to fight the mountain. I'm ready, boss. I'm ready. I'm like, guys, no, it's just not, it's not going to work. This is not just an open for all. Poor Thor, he's not a punching bag for everyone. Oh, I don't want to do it.
Everyone wants to fight Thor now.
If you recall Brad, you know Brad, right?
Yeah.
Our Brad?
Yeah.
He's the first. He's like, I'll fight Thor for $5,000. Barefoot. But the people who we took seriously were maybe about 3.
Okay.
Then the list came down to 2, and then it was not, Devon was not an easy decision.
Yeah.
Purely because of safety is a very important thing for us. And we don't want him to jeopardize his original career and his original sport. So like everything has to be in place medically, care-wise, training-wise. That's why we want him in Dubai, so he can get coached properly, constantly under our supervision.
Okay.
Make things a little bit, we feel better that we're not endangering somebody. Yeah.
All right, next question. Under what circumstances would you be in favor of a single strongman standards body?
Sorry, repeat again?
So I think what they're trying to say is
like a federation?
Yeah, something that kind of everyone abided by.
That's kind of like a utopian fantasy.
It is these days.
I don't think there's any sport where there's one organization that has managed to kill every promoter's ego. And unless you're talking like Olympics or whatever, but that's way too big. Let's talk about sports such as powerlifting. They've got 2 or 3 federations.
More, lots more.
Boxing.
Yeah.
How many belts are there?
4 or 5, yeah.
It's yes. One thing I will give whoever asked that question: Strongman is small enough at the moment for this to be made possible, right? And honestly, Laws, when we wrote out the set of rules for feats of strength, that sheet went out to all the promoters, right? Because they're technically the same rules. It was made a suggestion that, okay, we'll do a little board of directors.
I personally would like to see a standard that people are held to lift to.
But we tried that. We're like, all right, we ran the rules by everybody, the size of the logs, so at least for the records. It was all hunky-dory during lockdown, and people said, oh yeah, this is a great idea. We'll sign off on it. There was a whole sheet that was created, and everybody was going to sign off on it, from the Arnold's people to Jumps Live people to even SCL. We're like, hey, let's just all agree that we'll all accept each other's lifts, because at the end of the day, this is about the athletes. Let's put our egos to the side and let's all agree. And if something needs to be voted, let's vote it. And it kind of like fizzled away. Am I in favor of it? Sure. But like,
in reality,
like we haven't tried. In reality, no.
It's a difficult one when you've got so many different promoters doing their own things. And then you see, even at like the real grassroots level, I won't say grassroots level, but like the lighter bodyweight classes and things like that, where records are being set in various different, circumstances. We're seeing a lot of negativity towards the lifts because people are getting down signals probably quicker than they should and stuff like that. I'm always someone that has never blamed the athlete, blamed the referee, because the referee is the one that is going to give you the good or no good on the lift. As an athlete, you're literally trying your bollocks off to do the lift. So if the referee says down, you put it down. It's as simple as that. Yeah. Anyway, next question. It's a weird one. As a grip event, do you think a body weight or weighted hang on a fat grip axle bar where all 8 to 12 athletes could go head to head at the same time would be compelling in a competition?
I know this one. Chicken pot pie. Did they think Mark Boyd was coming on? I have no idea what that meant. Okay, hold on. Let me just see it.
So imagine you and me head to head, holding onto a bar for as long as possible. You got a damn good chance against me on that.
And just hanging.
Yeah.
It's a grip event, but it's definitely not a big strongman event. The lighter guy could hold on forever.
I
know calisthenics guys who could hold on for like 10
I'm
minutes.
pretty sure if we took anything reasonably heavy, I beat you at a grip event. If we did that, you got me.
I can hang by my toes. It would be interesting. I'm not sure.
It'd be kind of funny to get like a bunch of strongmen dangling above some water or something and just seeing who's going to drop in first.
Crocodiles at the bottom.
Yeah, you got two events. You got to hold on as long as possible, and you got to wrestle the crocodiles in the river.
You know, grip events, I've always had an interest in them because I've always had shit grip. So even as a kid in school, the guy who had the grip, I was always kind of like, oh, fuck this guy. But grip events, I think they're starting to, like, they have these phases. They become popular for a bit, then they die away. That's
kind of standard with most events, to be honest. Really, yeah. They go through phases where suddenly it becomes really popular, and then it dies off, then it gets popular again. You
definitely, Mr. Retired world record holder.
Well, you know, just because I'm retired doesn't. I might be retired, but I'm not dead.
I quit. A week later, I have a new world record.
Hey, I'm always going to do something. Next question.
Sorry, fans, I didn't really answer that question at all. Actually.
Don't worry, we'll blame Liz. She put these questions together. So, would they ever consider a pound-for-pound strongest strength competition that combines strong men, strong women, CrossFitters, etc., to compete against each other? All from different strength sports. That would be
that's a yes, but that would fall under what we're trying to do. I'm sure you spoke to Mark about this with the whole strong circuit, strong.
Yeah, I'm gonna come and try and give that a go when I come over to Dubai.
It's brutal. It's brutal and it's scalable. So if you're a housewife or if you're a strongman, it's the weights are to scale, aren't they? So, and I think Mark used the word circuit to make it appeal to the wider audience, because not the average Joe doesn't understand medley. Only a strongman understands medley. Technically, it is a medley. It's just a horrendous medley. But if you call it circuit, it'll bring in the general population.
Yeah, it's a combination of different exercises put together. So, you know, it's a workout.
Is to spread strongman to everyone. So in that format and what he's planning to do with the education and the competition part of it, I think that's more of a strong thing. Yeah. Again, see how I totally pushed all responsibility towards Mark.
Yeah, that's fine. This one's probably more your kind of area. With the growth and worldwide appeal of strongman improving, is or was there any plans to expand to other countries and continents? Well, obviously you were going to go to America, but yeah, would you look at doing more shows in different continents?
Oh, that's the idea. I mean, I know we grew very fast, thankfully. 2020 was our first year of expansion into other countries, but we only managed to execute the first one after COVID. 2021, Bahrain hosting, blah blah blah. This year we're going to go to the US. We have plans for Europe. We've been asked several times to come do a show in Europe. We were looking into the UK at some point, Russia. Australia has always kind of been part of the plan, but it's just so far away, and there after COVID, it kind of seems almost like another planet at the moment.
Yeah,
so that's on the back burner. Plans 100% are there, but the ultimate deciding factor is going to be our specifications rider and financials. If we see that there is a place where the athletes won't get the same treatment, or we won't have hospitality under our control, that's a big red flag.
Yeah.
If we see that the finances don't make enough sense and we have to skimp on anything that we've done for the athletes so far, that's a no-go. So far, every offer that has come across the table has been good. But you know, with this in this current, sorry to use the buzz term, in this current climate,
sure,
4 or 5 weeks in COVID timeline it's like dog years. You know, like look at this whole thing, this whole podcast. I'm sorry, we've gone over time, but this is like 3 weeks worth.
Yeah.
Right? 3 weeks ago, we had a totally different plan. Now it's plan B, then it became plan C, plan D, plan E. If you're able to adapt, you'll figure it out. But I don't know if the world is going to settle down ever to a degree where we're like, oh, let's plan 6 months ahead.
Yeah.
But we can try. We can try. And as long as you have a team and a crew that's adaptable, but plans 100% are there. Ideally, we'd like to do 3 or 4 shows in 3 or 4 different continents, and then have a major show that brings everyone together.
Okay. Last question then. Don't know what I think of this question, and you probably want to pass this one on to Mark. Why is there no squat or deadlift at the up-and-coming WUS Dubai event? Can you even call yourself the strongest if these lifts aren't tested?
You know what? I don't actually have the answer to that. Well, we had the deadlift at the last event. The squat, we've never had a squat.
You've never had a squat? No.
Huh. Dear fan, I will chew Mark Boyd's ear about that. This has been the most useless Q&A ever.
It's probably a question better aimed at me, but I kind of like putting it to you.
I honestly don't. I don't interfere in that part of the. It's not even my floor of the building.
I got to be honest. With most one-day shows, you're looking at 5 or 6 events. It's not enough events to really test who is the greatest strength athlete, of that current era. What it does, it creates excitement. With 5 events, you can get different results all the time in competitions with different athletes. And I find that exciting. It gives different people the opportunity to win. I like seeing different events tested in strongman. If it was the same, if we always did, I don't know, log lift, deadlift, stones, a medley, and a throw or something like that, and it was every single competition, it would just get a bit boring. It would
may as well be powerlifting.
Yeah.
Got the 3 major lifts that you have to focus on.
I love that strongman tests a variety of different things. Obviously, we always love seeing a big deadlift pulled or a big squat, but there's always opportunities to put different events in different shows. And it's about being the best all round. When you look back at people's careers, see what they won over a long period of time, that's when you find out who's the best.
I think, please don't quote me on this, because if I'm wrong, he's going to kill me. But I think a major contributing factor to why there was no deadlift, at least, was because everybody would have been cooked from the deadlift rules, because we didn't know who was going to go max out, and literally to have 5 or 6 weeks later.
I think that's a good call. I mean, with so many contests coming up as well, like every
the Shaw Classic has every single movement in it, and that's literally 2.5 weeks before us.
Every single promoter has had to condense this year into 4 months.
We don't want to kill people. We don't want to they just did a major, like 3 or 4 major shows.
Yeah.
We don't want them to face something that is like potentially, because you just never know. I think, honestly, I think that was one of the main reasons.
I think one of the most exciting things about this competition is the potential return of Kiliashkovsky. I spoke to him yesterday. He's looking forward to it, but I said, you're in good shape. He's not so sure yet. He's been a bit coy. We were kind of having a bit of a joke together, but I'm looking forward to seeing him back. I think I saw him. He's not taking it easy on that tricep. Like he's pushing it. Yeah,
he's pushing it. Which
I guess before I let you go, have we got any kind of like little clue on what the mystery event might be?
It's a bit of a mystery.
Oh, okay. I didn't think he'd give anything away.
We actually No.
He's shutting up before he says something. Don, it's a pleasure always talking to you. Thank you for coming on.
Sorry for rambling on and on, but it's just, that's so much to tell. We've been through so much in the last, since we last spoke. Literally a week later is when Eddie tore the bicep.
It's been an interesting few months. But
thank you to the fans. Thank you for everybody who puts up with all the constant changes and the drama, and like people who bought tickets to the Florida show. Nobody's going to like lose anything. The arena has guaranteed us that everybody's going to apply, but it's Ticketmaster, so it might take you 2 weeks to get your money back. That's something that was not in our control. We've dropped the pay-per-view price. Anybody who doesn't want to watch the pay-per-view, they were all offered refunds. Luckily, thank you fans, only 3 people wanted a refund.
Wow.
So it's just like we hardly ever get to thank our fans enough. So if this is okay, I'd like to just
please do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for sticking with us. We're a young organization, and I know it's always kind of archaic and somewhat maverickish, the things we do, but we just keep trying to propel forward for the fans, for the athletes, and for the sport.
Well, I'm sure people are looking forward to it. I know the ladies are looking forward to the women's comp. We've got 2 huge shows coming up, and the boxing between Thor. We got Thor and Devon, but we also have a load of impressive CrossFitters. Is Steffi Cohen still on this?
Yes, she is.
So that's exciting for a lot of people. I'm sure it's going to be
Martin Bacoli, number 14 in the world, pro boxer. He's confirmed to be on the card. He's actually our biggest boxing star. And there's a load of like 6 pro fights locally.
So it's going to be a great weekend of action.
Great fight night and a great weekend in general. Yeah.
Brilliant. Right, Don, I'll let you go. Have an awesome day, guys. I hope you enjoyed the chat with Don Idrees. He's always interesting to listen to. We will be back with more strength action soon.
Thank you.
While you're here, guys, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of my awesome strength content.